Welcome to the Zenith Hustle podcast, created for ambitious women who want to have it all without the burnout. I'm your host, Julia Garcia Devanishak. Okay, Karli, so are you ready to bring the Zen into your hustle today?
I am,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you for being here. So introduce yourself and just let us know who you are, what you are creating right now, and why it matters to you.
Yeah. I'm Karli. I have spent 20 years in product design, digital product design as a designer and as a team leader for startups up to Fortune 100 companies like Salesforce and Yahoo. And about a year ago, I started my founder journey because I was really tired and just dissatisfied with big tech and how they took advantage of their users, how they took advantage of their business customers on their platform, all in the name of shareholder value. And I felt we were no longer building products that were useful and really benefited people. And I said, I can build something different. I can build a product that honors the value proposition that we make with consumers, with small businesses, to give a platform to a lot of these businesses and service providers that are having a hard time breaking through the noise of sponsored results and all of the stuff that's happening on search and AI, along with building a business that helps support people, that makes them feel worthwhile, that they're building something meaningful, that they can have balance in their life and still be profitable and successful. And so that is the journey that I have been on in using technology and using my skill in building tech products to build both a product that people want to use and a business that people want to be a part of.
That's amazing. It's one of the reasons that I personally was so passionate about helping ambitious women. Every one of them that I talked to just had some heartfelt mission. And I think I really believe in the balance of things in this world, right? There's pendulums that swing left and then they want to swing right. And then I see that we have swung left for a really long time, let's say. And now that there are more women creating more companies, they're coming at it from a different place because naturally we are just different than how men operate. And it comes from a much more empathetic place. And I feel like that is super powerful. And I'm interested in seeing what kind of world we create, especially ones that one that we're at more tables where decisions are being made and enterprises are being created. That's what's really inspiring me and to create tools for them, right? That
Mhm.
help them thrive in this still a world that has not caught up with the fact that we get to choose now and we get to do whatever. And yeah, I've been building also with this question, what would happen if more ambitious women were able to and knew the value of prioritizing themselves and what could they create in regard in response to that?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
What stage of your business would you say that are more your ambitious journey? Sorry, not your business, but more your ambitious journey, because it could be anywhere.
Mhm.
What stage would you say that you, or what phase or what season would you say that you are at? Are you at the spark, the build, the breakthrough, the cost, the recalibration, the integration? What would you say that you are at?
I would say right now I'm definitely in the build. I am very excited about the idea. I have a lot of the plan thought through years into the future, kind of what I want this to be and what I envision happening with this. And right now, it's a lot of the nitty gritty and the finding people that are aligned, making do. We're bootstrapped, and so being scrappy. How can we make this vision come to life with the resources that we have at our disposal? And it's having conversations, it's reaching out, it's definitely getting outside of what was my comfort zone to do things I never thought that I would be doing. But honestly, that's one of the best parts of this founder journey is the growth that I see inside myself by doing things and connecting with people and reaching out in ways that I probably wouldn't have before. I'm also learning a lot more about business, about go to market, about community building that I didn't really have the opportunity to pursue and grow in when I was so focused on being a product and design leader and team leader at some of these bigger organizations. So I'm definitely in the build phase, but I'm also starting to see sparks of it coming together. When I see that what we're building is resonating with people, that gets me excited. And so I know that while this is hard, this is the part that's like building without necessarily having all the resources that we need. I'm starting to see the fruits of that labor pay off and really think that we're about to enter the next phase very soon.
That's amazing. What would you say, because I love where you're at now in the build, what would you say was your, what would I call your ZenEF moment? The moment where you were like, I can no longer operate like this. Something has to change. What was that moment for you? And what was it that needed to change? How did you want to move forward? What did you need to leave behind? Things like that.
Yeah, good or bad, seemed very tragic at the time, but I was in an incredibly toxic work situation. I had previously been laid off from where I was VP of design and had built this company up in order to be sold to private equity, and they let go of all of their executive team that I helped build. Then got a new job at a very well-known tech company, and it was just completely toxic. And I was giving it everything I had to make this work. I was so excited by the potential of it, of what had been sold to me, and then getting inside and realizing that not only was it not an opportunity in which I could build something, it was a place in which who I was as a person and who a lot of people were was criticized and demeaned and used to point fingers and blame. And I just realized I couldn't spend the rest of my life trying to change or be some sort of person that had to change with the whims of whoever was in charge at that time. I wanted to be in a place where different types of people were welcome, that different ideas were brought to the table, and that the leaders were the ones who helped to support those ideas and to help support these different kinds of people. And that's where really the role of leadership came into place. And so, in transitioning to being a founder, that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to find the right kind of people to fill the needs that we have as a team, not people that were just like me, not people that just did what I said, but people who were passionate about the mission, who were excited to come together and try something different. And then it was my job to help give them the opportunities to be successful with what they were bringing to the table.
I love that. That's something that I'm coming to also on my journey. A big realization about is just attracting the right people.
Yeah.
As ambitious women, sometimes we think we're just going to do it all by ourselves and
Mhm.
nobody's going to do it better than me. So I better just hurry up and do it and just be done with it. And training people is just such a big energy
Mhm.
investment. And so how do you feel is the best way to attract people that and be open to that support, right?
Yeah.
Because it's being open to receiving the support and it's also attracting the right people. How have you been able to do that? And how would you recommend other people be able to do that practically too?
Yeah. I think for me, a lot of it does come down to being a creative person at heart, meaning I am open to seeing those things in the people around me. Creative designers are generally, they're more empathetic, like you mentioned earlier, and they're more just open to like personality differences among people. And so I think that's one kind of natural character trait that I have, but I think that people can hone over time, which is also to over index, especially if you're building something and doing something earlier, is over indexing on the passion, excitement, and kind of dedication that someone brings to your project rather than just their resume of things that they've done. Of course, there's a balance, and You want to vet them for having the basic knowledge that you need. But I think in general, over the past at least 10 years that I've been a part of that is, especially in companies and corporate structures, we have moved away from hiring for potential and instead hire simply for what someone has already done and been like,
Hmm.
oh, can you fit exactly into this mold? Rather than someone who has some of the skills that we need, but really an excitement and a curiosity to learn. And if you can suss that out and find those people who are curious to solve problems, those are going to be the people when given the correct guardrails and frameworks and expectations of what you're looking for are going to bring back to you and back to the company things that you never would have been able to uncover yourself. And so that's really what I'm looking for is how do I find people who have the basic skills, but have a real curiosity for their job and for the company and what we're building so that they're going to go out of their way to bring back new and different ideas for us to try. And that is what I would look for. I also personally, I try to lead with my authentic self. So I try to be as open and honest as I can with people. And I think the right kind of people are attracted to that. I lead with passion. I try to have things be as democratic as possible, really sharing a lot of ownership and decision making with people, but at the same time, also being clear with expectations. I think people like to have that clarity. And when you are upfront with what you expect and give people as much of the support and resources that they need to be successful, that is where I have found the most success in building a team.
I love that. What you didn't, but you said that you lead with passion, but I really feel like what you're describing is a person with passion, passion for what they do and passion, and they can just absorb that passion into what you are doing, right? Because right
Mhm.
now I'm like, I've hired freelancers and things like that, and it's really contractual. I need somebody to
Yeah.
do this, but I noticed that I haven't brought them into like really the mission, the message, things like that. And I noticed that's probably where I'm kind of, even though I love people with passion, like I love
Yeah.
people that have passion for what they're doing and they're really good at it and they're not like, oh, I'm just doing this for the meantime or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing and like really insightful. I do want to talk about the way, I want to go back to the way you thought things were, or you saw things going in big tech and the way that you're deciding to build now. What was like the belief you had to unlearn in order to be where you are at today?
I had to, there's a couple of things, some that I had for myself and some that I feel were put onto me by being in that situation for so long. So, one for myself, and it's something I still work on, which is detaching my value as a person with how much money I make or the title that I have. It has just been very hard for me to work within a kind of corporate environment. It's not something that I ever felt completely successful at. And partially because I didn't want to be. I don't love how bureaucratic systems work in that way. I love managing people. I love building my teams. Again, that's where my passion is. I love seeing other designers be successful and pushing out something that we're really proud of. But a lot of the negotiations, the back channels,
Politics.
yes, the politics that
You
go
do
along
seem like a very, my husband calls me unemployable. And
with
I'm like, I just don't love, I don't know how my nervous system can't even handle those kind of
No,
politics. You know what I mean?
I know. It's like something I almost can't compute. I'm like, let's just be straightforward, honest. If we have a disagreement over how we should go about it, let's figure out a compromise. But the way that you're supposed to do things, it's just challenging for me. And so I had to unlearn that. I also had to unlearn this idea that I am too much in some way because again like you can see like I'm very passionate, I'm very excited, and people love that when I am pro whatever we're doing. But
Mhm.
when I feel like we are, as a company, like we things have started to change where we're building things based on quarterly earnings reports, and when we are being asked to do things without really clear directions or strategy and wanting to say, hey, can we take some time to figure out what the strategy is? And can we maybe change the way that we're going about that? And being told, no, now you're being difficult. I had to unlearn that because I don't agree that's the case. I think that by taking some time to really focus in on our strategy helps us to be able to execute, with more clarity and with less like pain and struggle and again just like unhappy just whatever like not dissatisfaction from everyone involved. And I don't think that is too much to ask from our leaders to really know what we're doing and to have a clear kind of like a clear strategy for how they want all of the teams beneath them to operate and how that ladders up. And even with a small team now, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say, here's the overall framework. This is where we're trying to get to. This is why. Here's the short-term goals. And then having each of them be like, okay, in your area that you have ownership over, how can you utilize that to help meet these goals? And so they have their own ownership, but it's to meet up with a clear goal that we all agree on and we see how that is working towards the larger goals that we have for the company.
That's interesting. So, do you believe that you can build a profitable, successful business without abandoning your values, either personal values or even business, like your brand or company values?
Mhm. Yes, that is one of the key things that's one of the key driving factors. And so authenticity, transparency is a key to our value proposition. It's what will make Highly different because so many companies who have done similar things have had to abandon their principles and therefore their products become a lot less valuable. And one of the key ways I am doing that is by bootstrapping and by figuring out alternative funding methods so that we don't have to take on venture in a way that will create a need for growth at all costs. And so we have to then therefore abandon some of our key principles. So that is a key part of how we're building Highly is to build it in a sustainable way. We are seeking out profitability early. We are seeking real, like you said, a sustainable business over one that is super hyped or has some sort of wow growth
Like a
statistics.
hyper growth
Yes,
versus,
we're
like just for the headlines and just for the,
exactly. No one really knows what's going on behind the scenes. We're
yeah.
definitely focused more on building a real company in a solid way that works for our team.
That's interesting because I always apply that to you as a person, right? Where you should always try to come from a whole place where you are not needing anything from anybody. And I feel
Yeah.
like when you take on these investments too early, then you quickly have to abandon this spark that you started with in the first place in order to appease now people with their own visions and their own thoughts and their own filters and their own ideas, and that would be that it's difficult to remain authentic and to not compromise those values when you do that so early on. So that's amazing that you are able to build that and relinquish any big hyper growth, big hype in order to achieve sustainable growth, right? And
Yeah.
I think that when you play, I think the long game and you don't just try to go for the easy, quote unquote, or the quick route to begin with,
Mhm.
then you are setting a much stronger foundation. Actually, I don't know if you know this, but you were one of the people that you were talking about Amazon, and
Mhm.
I reached out and I was like, oh my God, I was going to launch on Amazon only because one of my mentors, that's what she teaches.
Okay.
And, but I had always been like, I can't be a hypocrite and say I'm an Amazon girly because I'm stay-at-home mom. I just need to purchase the things and they need to
Mhm.
come to my house and that's it. I hardly like to, I don't even like to shop. I don't even like to do a lot of things. So
Yeah.
just more of the essentials. But so I found it, I thought it was like aligned at first because I was like, okay, there's a built-in market. But just something about learning the back end to Amazon, it just killed the any kind of creative energy that I had. And I was like, okay, let me just do the hard thing first and build D2C and understand and it was just the catalyst to be okay with not going that route. I had already thought about not going that route, but it was like another conversation that kind of pointed me in the right direction where I was like, I do have to do the unscalable, harder thing that builds a more stronger foundation and for a more sustainable business first, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And when I'm talking, and I try to do it, is never to be preachy or to say this is the way that you should do something, that something is right or wrong. It is much more about education. A lot of this I'm learning myself too. I didn't know. And I think because a lot of businesses, that's something else is they don't necessarily announce when your favorite brand has been bought by private equity and they start swapping out materials and,
Mhm.
quality control. You don't know that until people start complaining about things. And Amazon, even itself, was not always this way. And it's only by recognizing and by digging in that you realize that they've been stealing people's IP and that they do these things. And for me, knowing that it's worth it for me to put in effort because I want to exist in a world in which small businesses and makers still can have a living. I want to be in that world. But it's not to say that the need that you have to get the thing is valid. It's not meant to be, you have to do it this way. It's just, did you know? And if do you still want to make that choice? And for me, it's become clearer that one, I question, do I actually need this thing at all? We're a very consumerist society, and so it helps me if getting it from Amazon's my only option, do I need it? If I actually need it, then is it okay? Do I need it enough to seek out the maker's actual site or the producer's actual site or to find a similar type product from a company in which I align with a little bit better? That's not for everyone, but that is for me because if I truly need it, I'm okay with things being a little bit harder because it makes me question, do I actually need this thing?
Yeah, and listen, it wasn't just that video that like was like, oh, but it was already a thought. It
Yeah.
was, but I am somebody who I look for messages, I look for signs, I look for impulses to point me in the right direction. And not to say that I'll never end up on Amazon, maybe I will.
Mhm.
And I've tried to protect myself as much as I can with suppliers and whatnot, but it's also changing. Like the platform is changing quite a bit, and I just don't think that I will go. It's going to be crazy, but
Yeah.
a crazy year for me to fulfill everything myself. However, I don't think I'll regret it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll regret doing this for the first, at least production run and things like that. It was just more of, and everything you said, like, because again, like I'm learning about it. I already knew all the risks and stuff like that, but I was like, and then now it turns out like even my mentor is like flipping her model where she's going more D2C, more wholesale. And Amazon is now more of a
Yeah.
secondary channel. So I was like, okay, I was on the right track all along.
Yeah.
And I had to overcome being a quote unquote bad student because I was like, wait, this is mapped out for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm feeling the impulse to do something different. And even though, again, it's going to be much harder for,
Yeah. And I think some brands are seeing that too. Again, I don't know their fault, but they're realizing with social media, like they don't own their audiences. They don't have a house for them. They don't, and like by
Mhm.
distributing through Amazon, like they don't have control over their
Right.
customer base and how disappointing that is. And honestly, I was just researching now recently, I don't know if you came across this, but how Amazon has been putting small business catalogs onto their platform without the business's knowledge. And yeah, if you are interested, you should research Project Starfish. But there's been TikToks and stuff because these businesses are getting orders that are coming through Amazon and they don't know why. And Amazon is sometimes putting up the wrong thing or things that have been out of stock for a long time because it's just scraping their data. And now they're
Bizarre.
ruining because they can't communicate with the customers because it comes through as an Amazon order.
Yes.
They can't make it right. And so they're tarnishing their brand, and people don't realize it. They don't realize, they think Amazon is just a platform. They don't realize that these people didn't even ask to be on Amazon. And Amazon's not getting hurt, the small businesses. And it's just another way in which Amazon is trying to lock consumers in to, they call it like a walled garden, meaning I just get everything from Amazon.
Yes.
They can then control the prices, they can make businesses pay for placement, and they are eliminating, again, alternative competition. And it's just really, I think it's really sad.
That sounds very illegal. Like, how are they doing that?
Yeah, it's illegal. Yeah, it's a difficult thing, and people are protesting, and but it's hard when you're a small business, right?
Yeah.
That's where we say, "Oh, we're a capitalist society, just be better." Amazon has legions of lawyers, and
Yeah.
versus a small business who's just trying to keep up with their own orders, their own maintenance, and yeah, so it all of these things are just a challenge, and big corporations know that.
The beauty of social media is that, and us building in public and things like that, is that we actually have a little bit of a voice now.
Yeah,
Whereas maybe if this happened even 10 years ago, it would be much harder to be like, that's not us and
yeah,
whatever. Now I think that we have a little bit more control, or I don't know. Maybe it is control, but just like a little bit more control, I guess,
yeah.
of our own voice and what we're putting out there. So if that were to happen to a small business, at least a lot of people would hear about it at the
Yeah.
very least.
Yeah. And
And
there are a
hopefully,
few and on TikTok, and that's how I heard about it and went back and investigated and saw that they were right and that this was terrible. But yeah, I do think that is a bonus of social media and being able to share stories like that faster.
okay, I do have two questions for you. One,
Okay.
I want to talk about AI and
Hmm.
like what your thoughts are in regards to that, because for me, again, as a solo
Hmm.
business owner who had a dream to put this business out there and build this
Hmm.
brand, I don't know right now how I could have done that without AI at this moment,
Hmm.
because it is literally my co-founder. It is cutting so much time and money that I already don't have,
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
helping me so much. So how do you see it, and how do you feel like your values are playing into how you're building your company too?
Yeah. For sure. I try to be clear that I am not against AI as a technology. I am against the conversation around it because the conversation that I see played out mostly in media is to the benefit of the people who are owning the AI. I don't know that AI as it was promised to us as a nonprofit is something that should benefit humanity, should then be owned by companies, especially if they truly believe in the risk of all of us losing our jobs. But I also think that it benefits them to talk about AI as being a solution to problems that it just is not right now. And so that's really what I think I have the talk about is to say that they're laying people off because of AI. That's not necessarily true. They had planned layoffs and they're using it to say AI because that makes them look better. And almost all of these big companies have invested in each other. NVIDIA is investing in OpenAI and Microsoft and then the Anthropic and the Google. And so it benefits all of them to be like, this is absolutely amazing. It's going to take over and everyone should just get used to it. The way that they're trying to shoehorn it into so many applications where it's not needed is because they need people and they need enterprises to become reliant on it. And again, that's the conversation I want to have, not that using AI is somehow inherently wrong. Now we can get into data usage and water and how much power we should be using in order to fuel some of these things. But for everyday users, not necessarily small business users who are doing basic searches for things, those could have been accomplished and were accomplished previously by Google,
Google.
but Google decided to cannibalize its own product in order to sell more ads. Because if it's harder for you to find what you're looking for, you end up seeing more ads and they can charge people more money. And again, those are the conversations that I want to have. Is this trade-off? Is this energy usage worth it? Or make sure people know, oh, they're talking about how great OpenAI is. Now OpenAI is going to bring ads into its chatbot for its free and lowest tier users. They're promising that the results, that the ads or the brands that are paying for these ads won't influence the results that come from the AI, but how do we know that? How there's so much that happens behind the scenes like how they built all of this AI on the work product of designers and developers and writers that are still in litigation, and yet they continue to make money off of all of this data that was gathered over all of these years that they didn't pay for. So it's a conversation that needs to be had, and it's a fuller conversation of beyond just does AI help me or not? And it's an
Hmm.
understanding that the more you put into the AI, the more that you rely on it, the more control they will have over time, and just being aware of that.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And to be honest, I don't really know how to it's the beginning of such a big conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you even remedy that? Especially because right now, even little me here, just so already reliant on it and depending on it. And it's so helpful.
It is. And I utilize it for some things, but I know because I have worked in tech for 10 years, right now, the costs or lack of costs that you are paying is because it is being supported by venture capital, and that the cost to run these things for us will be ex- incredibly higher than it is right now.
For
It
the
would take
environment, I mean, and
no,
like for
no,
the
I mean for
environment.
us, for consumers.
Okay,
We
okay.
don't have adapt. So whatever people having free, so it's like Google, it's like anything. You either pay for it or you become the product. So you either have to see ads and parse through a lot of these things, or you pay for what your actual usage is. And
I see.
all of our usage is still being subsidized by major investments from venture capital. So they're trying to get you to adopt based on you then being reliant on them. So in the future, they can charge you $100 a month or something even
Mm,
more than that. And you say, well, I have to pay this. My company runs on this. And so you
that's
are
so
locked in
interesting.
to
Have
that.
you felt this shift of everybody wanting to go analog, everybody wanting to use their hands, everybody wanting to more humanity? Have you felt that shift?
Uh,
And is this something that you are adopting the way in your business
yeah.
and what you are creating as well?
Yeah, I have definitely felt it and seen it. And I think it is something that people want. They want to feel less controlled by the algorithms and therefore by the companies, the corporations. It just feels like everything we do is being monetized, is being used to sell us things. And I think people are tired of that. At the same time, we do have a lot of built-in habits that are hard to break, a lot of things that used to be helpful and maybe aren't as helpful now, but we don't know that we feel like there's any other real option. Like for
What
me, I was gonna say for me, it's Instagram.
I
I
am.
think there was a search, which is Instagram, I think is 13% of things that you've chosen to follow, and the rest is ads or proposed for you. But it's still, oh, that's my glimpse of people that I used to know or small businesses that I followed or whatever. So I still find myself using it, even though it pains me and I usually am dissatisfied with the experience.
The amount of times I just take breaks from Instagram and even TikTok. I
Yeah.
just recently took a break from TikTok
Yeah.
just to see like how do I actually feel about this because I'm consuming quite a bit. I am trying really hard at it. And really what am I doing all this for? What does it all mean? Do I really want to do this? And how do I think it's just about being a little bit more intentional, right? It's just adding a little bit in so much ease and ease, just
Yeah.
adding a little bit of friction
Yes. Yeah.
yourself
Yes.
just to be a little bit more intentional, right?
Yeah.
Of about what you're doing and what you're consuming and what you're and yeah, so I talk about that quite a bit. And in terms of consuming even products and whatever, I that also I think about quite a bit, especially as somebody who's building a brand. I question it all the time. Is this worth putting out? And I'm creating a wellness planner, in case you don't know, but
Okay.
it's definitely analog. It's
Yeah.
definitely using your hands. And I feel like the intention that I have behind it has been very pure and maybe even right on time, even though I've been working on it for three to 5 years, arguably. And hopefully it's something that people are I think that it's literally something that people are now ready for.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's just it helps you be more intentional with what you are doing, right? Because in a world where we're just so go
Yeah.
next thing, fill the void, fill this
Mhm.
void. I really want people to just at least choose for themselves and not be consumed or sold by every little thing.
Yeah. Yes. I wanted to circle back on 2 points that I'm not sure I addressed. So one is with Hili, our goal is for you to find what you need and purchase it or get the service that you need or connect with the right person or even just find a book that you want as quickly and with as much confidence as possible. So we're designing it one so that you don't need to stay on the app. Our business model is not around you seeing ads or anything like that. Our whole goal is for you to find what it is that works for you. And you do that by getting recommendations from people from communities you choose to join, from brands that have been recommended to you or service providers, and so that you can buy, purchase, connect with confidence and then go along your way. It's also a way to connect over live events. Really, it's just anything that people are like, I'm looking for. What have you done? Having a space for South by Southwest where people can talk about, oh, what speakers or what events in the past were really would you recommend? And so I would say, here, these are the ones that I would go to. And secondly, you mentioned this, and it's something I talk about a lot, I think about a lot, is that we act as if friction is a terrible thing. And I think as humans, part of our instinct is yes, we want our life to be easier. We want to avoid some of the work. But we also recognize that going to the gym helps us to stay healthier. Doing some of these things are beneficial, and that the easiest route is not always the best. It's not always for the best end product. It's not always the best for our own mental health. Like, I'm a big believer in crafts. I have a paint by numbers thing I'm working on behind me because it just helps me relax. And it's not about necessarily the finished product, it's just about doing it. And that's okay. That's good. My mind wants that. My body wants that. My spirit wants that. And by taking that time, that break, I come back to my work refreshed. And that's also about how I'm building my business, where if people have time to take a break, to go for a walk, you come back with a clearer mind, able to execute quicker, with more decisiveness, and ultimately that's better for the business as well. So I think this idea that we're trying to avoid friction at all costs, we want the quickest, easiest thing possible. It's not necessarily getting us to the best thing. And I always want people to remember that quality often comes from working through the pain and getting out the other side.
I've been a coach for 5 years, and marketing people to like pain has been very challenging.
I believe it. I know. I'm not saying it's easy or you
But
can
you
convince
know, that's what I'm
anyone.
saying. I feel like this whole AI thing is having people crave human experiences, even
Yes.
pain. So
Yeah.
I'm
I
like,
mean,
my
yeah,
time is coming.
it
My
is.
time is
It is.
coming.
They are like you want to see, right? It's like we like even on our even digitally, we like our social medias that show people with pimples or something. 'Cause, oh, you're real. You're not AI generated.
Yeah.
To see word articles with typos or something. Oh, you
Yes,
weren't written by like we want
exactly.
proof of life.
Proof of life.
And that's just and honestly, that is a human instinct. It's like we crave knowing that we're safe, that someone else is part of our tribe and stuff. And so we're looking for these things. It's freaky at a very base level when things look too perfect. We want music that has reverb or something. We want that kind of authentic human experience is innately attractive to us.
I want to talk to you a little bit about what you mentioned because again, like another thing that I've been trying to market to very ambitious women, right? I know that I'm going up against this and we're going a little bit over time, but I just love this conversation. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm going up against this mindset, vicious woman mindset, right? Where they don't really understand the value of doing paint by numbers and taking a walk sometimes. You know what I mean? They either hit a place where they're like, I have no other choice. I need to do something or else I'm going to lose it. But I really want more ambitious women to understand the value in those things and that they're not a quote unquote waste of time. Can you tell me a little bit of how you are bringing that Zen into your hustle and the value that it's actually providing you and what you're able to create?
Yes, absolutely. And of course, I'm only me, so I only know how I
I
work.
want to hear
But
about you because they've heard
yeah,
about all the
yeah,
ways that I do it so many
yeah.
times. So somebody out there is, wow, this woman is knows all the stuff. And so if she's saying it that this is
Yeah.
valuable, I want to know how she's implementing it.
Yeah, I think one is like I said earlier, there's this glorification of hustle culture. But if you are in tune with yourself, what you're trying to build, like all of the things that you know that you're doing, it is in taking those breaks. I'm not constantly throwing spaghetti at the wall, and I'm not just constantly churning because I have taken the time to check in with myself via journaling, via again the walks that I take or the meditation. And you pick what works for you, but I did a lot of that early on. I still do that in the morning. It's like working but not working, where I'm just like, okay, what comes to the surface, what feels like the right focus for me, where am I feeling my energy or whatnot. But it's in taking those times that you get the clarity that I promise helps you move faster, because when you know what you're working towards and when you take the time to like simmer in it and you're like, yes, this feels right, then you're just like go. But it's
Yeah.
when I'm going without thinking that that's where burnout comes from, when you are working but you don't know the goal. And I'm trying to avoid that at all costs, right? Because for me, a startup is the long game. It is hard. And I need to take the breaks needed to sustain that marathon. And so for me, again, it's looking at the long term and the short term, and it's always balancing those things. It's always opening my mind to ideas that I didn't think of, to new connections. And it's just for me, it is having those small breaks where my mind is relaxed enough or open enough to have those creative moments that are absolutely worth it. Or it's even beyond just me and myself. It's going for coffee, it's talking with you, it's taking the time to do things that I think people always think that there needs to be like an agenda. Like, how can I sell? How can I do this? How will this promote this? Versus, I sometimes approach things as more of just like karma. And again, all of this sounds like a little bit new age, but I really think I'm more experienced. I'm in my 40s and I have found these things to work where if you go in with a genuine curiosity for the person that you're meeting with a how can I help you, that gets returned to you. And whether it is in that direct connection, whether it's who they can connect you with, whether it's something that you learn about them, about yourself in the conversation, or just again, the practice of going and meeting people, meeting someone virtually or in real life, or reaching out to a stranger and putting into practice something that maybe you don't get to do all the time. Again, all of those things are valuable in creating a well-rounded entrepreneur and business owner and
Yeah.
professional woman.
I believe everything that you are saying, and I'm just so glad that people get to hear it from you and see themselves in your story and see how doing that can also benefit them. So thank you for sharing. That's
Yeah.
relieving to
I'm
hear.
glad. I love to talk to other people too, because I don't think enough people believe it. And you don't even have to be, I don't think, an entrepreneur, just working within a company, but recognizing how you do your best work. And that's some of the conversation around AI and this forced way to work. And it's like, I just want the conversation to be more about making a quality product and what is the best way that you do that rather than you have to use this technology in this way. And that makes the humans subservient to the technology. And that is when I get scared about a world like that, in which we are servicing the technology and not the other way around.
Thank you for sharing because, again, it's literally the reason that I really decided to focus on ambitious women because You guys come with this heart, and I'm hoping that the energy is shifting in a different way, and that will allow my daughters to grow up in a different kind of world with different kind of enterprises and hopefully a different type of society that actually values the quality of of who they are as women and their gifts, whether it's being empathetic or kind or whatever it is, soft, that we don't all have to be just very masculine budgets and just
Exactly.
very cutthroat. I do believe that that can happen and that it's possible. So thank you for being
Absolutely.
an example of what is possible. And I've gone so over, but I'm going to finish with this lightning round for you.
Okay.
What's your non-negotiable right now? So this could be a ritual, an affirmation, anything that you already mentioned a lot, but what is your non-negotiable? What's right now really changing the game for you?
Let me see. My non-negotiable is just build the way that I believe. I am building the company and the product in the way that I believe is right. And I'm not going to sacrifice that for quick money or, like I said, hyper growth. I'm staying committed to building the way that I know is right.
I love that. So staying very true to your values. What's a thought you hold that got you to where you are at and might inspire others? I see thoughts as something you can literally try on. So maybe somebody can be inspired by that thought and try it on for themselves.
Yeah. I think it's one thing is don't be critical, be curious. It's something that I think about a lot when talking to other people, when people have judgments about everything in our culture right now. It's very easy to come in with a hot take. And I think when we are curious about things, we then are more open to, would that work for me? No, it doesn't work for me. How could that work for me? How could something? And that is how we continue to grow and really become the best versions of ourselves. And that's what I'm always striving for.
I love that. What are you celebrating? What's one thing that you're celebrating right now?
I'm just celebrating that I've got into a routine with my team. They are building our features really effectively. We have a growing beta community, and so I'm learning from our users every day. And I'm just really excited about what we have worked through, some of the adversity that we've worked through so far to get to where we are today.
I love that. Complete this sentence. I'm in my Zenith era because
Because I am a woman in my 40s and I just don't care what anyone says anymore. I hope that works.
it
Ah,
works. It works. Okay, so now just tell everybody where they can find you, how they can support you, where they need to
yeah.
follow along, anything that they need to know or
Yeah, sure. Go to gethili.com to learn more about our product and to join our beta group there. We'd love to have people come on and share their favorite recommendations or ask their community for things that they're looking for. And then you can follow along with my founder journey and musings on all things tech related at Karli at Hili on TikTok.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this, Julia. I'm so excited about all the other great women that you interview and following along with your journey as well. Excited to see your planner come out. It's definitely something that I would love to spend the time investing in myself and doing.
Oh, thank you. I'll let you know when it comes
Okay,
out.
that's
I
great.
have like 122 boxes coming very soon.
Oh, that's so exciting. All right. Well, I'd
Yeah.
love to talk about it on Highly. I recommend it as something that is really helpful in building up my own kind of personal practice of growth and exploration. So, yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Zen AF Hustle podcast, where ambition is sacred and hustle isn't a dirty word. Here, we're bringing the Zen back into your hustle through talking everything about mindset, boundaries, nervous system, identity, and what it really takes to build a life you love while you create your ambitious vision. Today, I am joined by Karli Kujawa, the founder of Go. Welcome back to the Zennief Hustle podcast, where ambition is sacred and hustle isn't a dirty word. Here, we're bringing the Zen back into your hustle through everything mindset, boundaries, nervous system, identity, and what it really takes to build a life you love while you create your ambitious vision. Today, I am joined by Karli Kujawa, the founder of Hili, which is a platform that connects consumers with products and services they will love via recommendations from people they know and trust. Her perspective has been one of my favorites to follow on TikTok, so I'm excited to bring this conversation to you today. So let's get into it. Thanks for listening, Ambitious Babe. And if you're ready to bring the Zen back into your hustle, be sure to visit getzenaf.co to find out more.